The rain had been falling since before dawn, the kind that didn't rush or roar but pressed down steadily, soaking everything it touched until even concrete seemed tired of holding it. Daniel Carter noticed her because she wasn't moving. He had just finished a double shift at the municipal garage, hands aching, back stiff, mind already drifting toward the leftover pasta waiting in his small apartment. As he cut through the alley behind the old pharmacy, he saw a woman sitting against the brick wall, knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped around a child who looked too thin for the oversized hoodie he wore. Most people passed through that alley quickly. Daniel usually did too. But something about the stillness stopped him. The woman's face was turned slightly away, but he could see bruising along her jaw, yellowed at the edges, the kind that had been there long enough to fade but not long enough to disappear. One eye was swollen, half shut. Her hair clung to her cheeks in wet strands. The child's face was buried against her shoulder, small hands gripping her coat as if letting go might cause the world to split open. Daniel slowed, then stopped entirely. He told himself he was just checking if they were okay. That was all. People needed help sometimes, and it didn't have to be complicated. "Hey," he said gently, keeping his distance. "You two all right?" The woman flinched at the sound of his voice. Her arms tightened around the boy instinctively, her body curving inward as if to shield him. She looked up then, eyes wide with fear, scanning his face for threat. Daniel saw it immediately, the reflex of someone who'd learned too well what came after a stranger spoke. "I'm not," he started, then stopped. Words felt clumsy. It's cold. "You've been out here long?" She didn't answer right away. Her gaze flicked down to the child, then back to Daniel. Her voice, when it came, was hoarse and barely above the rain. "We're fine." Daniel nodded, though it was clear they weren't. The boy shifted slightly, peeking out from the safety of her shoulder. His eyes were dark, alert in a way children's eyes usually weren't. Too watchful, too aware. "I'm Daniel," he said. "I live close by. I can make you some tea. Just to warm up." The woman shook her head immediately. "No, thank you. We don't need anything." That was when Daniel noticed her hands. One was trembling, fingers stiff and swollen. The skin around her knuckles was split. Defensive injuries. He'd seen them before on co-workers who boxed for sport, on men who'd come into the garage nursing broken pride after bar fights. But this was different. This was survival. "Okay," he said quietly. "Then at least take this." He shrugged off his jacket and held it out, careful not to step closer. "It's dry." She stared at the jacket like it might bite her. The boy's eyes followed it, lingering. He swallowed. "Mom," the boy whispered so softly Daniel almost didn't hear it. Then asked the question he already knew the answer to. "Do you have somewhere safe to go?" She shook her head once. "Not anymore." The words hung heavy between them. Daniel thought of his own apartment, small, cluttered, quiet in a way that sometimes felt like peace and sometimes felt like punishment. He thought of the empty second bedroom, the one he'd never quite turned into anything else after his wife died. He thought of the promise he'd made to himself, not to complicate his life any further. "You can stay with me," he heard himself say. The woman looked at him sharply, fear flaring again. "We can't." "You can," Daniel said, firmer now, though his heart was racing. "Just for the night. No strings. You'll have a lock on the door. I'll sleep on the couch if you want." The boy was looking at him openly now, curiosity battling caution. There was something else there, too. Intelligence, sharp and unsettling. Like he was already measuring the situation, weighing outcomes. "What's your name?" Daniel asked him. The boy hesitated, then said, "Leo." Daniel smiled faintly. "Nice to meet you, Leo." The woman studied Daniel's face for a long moment, as if trying to find the lie. Whatever she saw must have been enough. She nodded once, exhausted. "I'm Mara." The walk to Daniel's apartment was quiet. Mara limped slightly, favoring her left side. Leo held her hand but kept glancing around, memorizing streets, buildings, exits. Daniel noticed it all and pretended he didn't. Inside, the apartment was warm and smelled faintly of coffee and motor oil. Daniel apologized for the mess, though there wasn't much. He handed Mara a towel, showed her the bathroom, set out spare clothes that were too big but clean. Leo sat on the edge of the couch, feet dangling, eyes tracking every movement Daniel made. When Mara emerged from the bathroom, her face was cleaner, the bruises more visible without the grime. Daniel felt a flash of anger he didn't quite know what to do with. He turned it into action, pouring tea, heating soup, placing the bowl in front of her without comment. They ate quietly. Leo finished first and sat back, hands folded, watching Daniel with unsettling focus. "You fix things," Leo said suddenly. Daniel blinked. "Cars mostly." Leo nodded, as if that confirmed something important. "Things that are broken." Mara stiffened, shooting her son a look. "Leo." "It's okay," Daniel said. "He's right." Later, when Leo had fallen asleep on the bed, curled tightly under too many blankets, Mara sat at the small kitchen table, hands wrapped around her mug. The shaking hadn't stopped. "You don't have to tell me anything," Daniel said. "On." They stopped pretending. Her voice cracked. They wanted Leo. Daniel frowned. "Why?" She shook her head quickly. "I don't know. Control, money, power. They said he belonged with them. That I was nothing." Daniel felt something cold settle in his gut. "And when you said no?" Her silence was answer enough. She pulled her sleeve back slightly, revealing the faint outline of handprints on her arm. "I ran." Daniel looked down at his hands, grease-stained, scarred, ordinary. He felt suddenly, painfully aware of how small his life was, how little power he had, and yet tonight it was enough. "You can stay," he said again, this time without conditions, without time limits. Mara looked at him, really looked at him, and nodded. Tears slid down her face, unchecked. In the days that followed, routines formed. Leo started school nearby. Mara cleaned, cooked, tried to disappear into usefulness. Daniel went to work, came home, fixed things around the apartment that hadn't been broken. At night, when he thought they were asleep, he sometimes heard Mara crying softly through the wall, and sometimes he heard Leo whispering to her, calm and steady like a child far older than his years. Daniel didn't know it yet, but the quiet boy sleeping in his spare room carried a legacy that stretched across boardrooms and private jets, hidden accounts and blood-soaked contracts. He didn't know that men in tailored suits were already looking for him, that his name existed in documents worth billions. All Daniel knew was that for the first time since his wife died, his apartment felt alive again, and that somehow, saving this broken little family felt like the most important thing he had ever done.